Hi everyone. So, what what kind of changes have you been experiencing lately? For me, it's the inner journey has continued and unraveling. What I've been noticing is that once I came out of deep feeling that I was having on a Sunday, and I posted a video, after which I felt super vulnerable because I went really, really deep into the grief and the rage, and I communicated from that space. And sometimes we kind of mostly show one loving side, the calm side to people, and we are that as well as the turbulent emotions. All of that is true, but when we show mostly loving and calm and peaceful side, it feels extra vulnerable to post a video where you are expressing anger and grief and concern, and when you are in pain. But this is who we are. In this physical reality, we are experiencing all of it, not just the peace. So as uncomfortable as I was after posting the video, I literally had to process the feelings that came up in response to posting it. That deep vulnerability that I felt afterwards was compared to my first videos months ago, and I've gotten so much more comfortable speaking to you all, to being on camera and expressing myself. But it's still hard. It's still hard to be that vulnerable. And it's extra important for us to show that vulnerability. So I resisted the urge to take the video down. We are all feeling all kinds of things. So I don't want to project an image of only calm, only peaceful, that I'm not other things as well. I have very, very deep emotions, deep sensitivities, and once in a while they will come up and be visible through these videos and in person. So after that, the next few days were much calmer. I did step into like a deeper love and connection with spirit again, and I had some relief from that internal pressure. And also I started seeing the changes that the internal work has been resulting in. So for example, I noticed a fear come up as I was walking on the street, and that fear usually gets triggered repeatedly. That's something that has been with me for the longest time. But this time when the fear came up, I could see that it was not part of myself anymore. Like it was on the surface, like a scab coming out. And that observation of seeing it as separate from who I am, it made me so happy, because I know that these limitations that we have in our mind, they are illusions. You know that expression that there's nothing to fear but the fear itself? To fully understand it on an energetic level, to really, really get what it means, we begin when we release the fears and we observe them come up, and we know it's not who we are. Like to see that being something surface and something that's healing and detaching and irrelevant, it was so easy to move it to the side. And there was such joy in knowing that one day it won't come up at all. Often what we like to create, our biggest joy, is on the other side of fear. And if we don't let those fears control us anymore, we create the future that we desire. Why do most of us stop before proceeding as far as following up on our dreams, taking steps forward? Is because of the beliefs and doubts and the fears that we hold within, the false beliefs about ourselves and the world. The world is, after all, what we all collectively create. So imagine if each one of us changes internally and starts behaving differently, taking different kind of action that is more aligned with their soul and the heart than that of fear, that we stop reacting in fear and stop hiding who we are, our true feelings and emotions and concerns, and be true and honest about it. So this is why it's important to express our true voice, to be truly seen, even in that discomfort, to be in the spotlight, because others could see that they're not alone in their feelings, in their authenticity, and it is safe to respond, even if people won't like it. If people won't like what you have to say, it doesn't matter. Because how long are we going to keep adjusting ourselves and our voice to be liked, to be accepted, instead of speaking the truth, standing in our truth, standing in our integrity? The boundaries also have been coming up for me, and I could see from the past few months how that has been evolving, how I have been protecting my energy and being more discerning about who I allow into my space and access to my energy. There was an incident, to give an example, there was an incident with someone starting a conversation on Messenger, and at first it was fine. There was some resonance. It was interesting to have that conversation, but then it became too much very, very quickly. And when I expressed kindly and clearly that it was too overwhelming for me as an introvert to interact that much on a daily basis, it's not sustainable. The person seemed to understand, but not truly. Like I had a feeling that they didn't understand fully, because then they proceeded to message even more and overwhelm. So at that point I stopped responding. I took my space, and then the person went really overboard and started messaging in the middle of the night, waking me up. So it's becoming more and more obvious that the boundaries have to be set, and being an empath and not wanting to hurt anyone's feelings or be rude, the first inclination is always to explain and be nice, to find the words, to use "I'm sorry." But why do we have to apologize for feeling overwhelmed? If someone is acting in a way that's not respectful of your boundaries, after you repeatedly expressed that their behaviors is making you feel a certain way, and then it's not okay to impose on your space, why do we have to explain further? Why do we have to apologize instead of just taking space and recognizing that this is a misalignment? And there's no right and wrong. It's not exactly any kind of punishment or karma or reflection on you. I feel at this point we are going through a lot of experiences that are just training our inner senses, our intuition, to recognize what we like, what we don't like, as we observe how we feel, and in the process of interacting with life, And with other human beings, we could see what is resonant, what is not. How do certain people make us feel? How do certain interactions, what kind of response in the body they generate? So from all that, we are collecting data, and we are collecting, we are learning the skill to discern what is intuition and what is reaction, what is true, what is aligned, and what is our practice to set boundaries and to stand in self-love and our integrity. So especially for highly sensitive people and empath, we are being trained to sustain our boundaries, graceful boundaries, without being rude, to find that middle ground where we are still kind and loving, and yet we can withdraw energy and be with ourselves in the most loving way, and give us ourselves what we need in the moment. And a lot of times it's the quiet that we need, and to find the soul family that resonates with our with our communities, to build the communities, to meet the right people, to know who is the right person, in quotes, right or wrong, but who is resonant with us, who are we taking forward on our journey together, what kind of connections do we want to nourish and keep in our lives. And so I had experiences in both, with people who I feel loved to, and who interacting with who I feel it enriches me and inspires me and fills me up with so much love. And also the people who drain me, and the entitled attitude, that grab of my energy, like even them passing by and looking in my direction, there's this energy of intrusion and entitlement, and I feel like I'm getting much more sensitive to it and much more intolerant, as in terms that I'm not going to entertain it anymore. There's going to be a boundary, and I am not going to invest a lot of energy in explaining or thinking about it much, or giving much of my energy at all, because there's so much to do internally, and as far as creating the new reality that we are called to create, with our new alignment, with our true self, I don't want to be diverted. This is not a priority anymore. The priority is the alignment and inspired action from alignment. So another thing that I've noticed is that sometimes people are very excited about certain subject, and I am excited about other subjects in my life. And it could be a spiritual idea, it could be something that I want to look into, I'm curious about. So for each one of us, we need to feel whether it brings us joy, when there is resonance, there's a confirmation from within us to follow. So in interaction with others, either we click and see, yes, we both want to explore that topic together, and that expands the connection, as opposed to people who bring up things that are interesting to them, and then we can be polite and we can listen to a degree, we can hold space for them. But then sometimes, like in this example with the messenger friend, he kept talking about something, I don't even know what it was. I couldn't relate to it, maybe because I was not a kid in the United States. I moved here when I was 15, so maybe I missed out on a lot of different movies and my voice is adjusting, and some concepts that I don't know what he's talking about, and I have no desire to find out. And I recognize there's a piece of myself that's still dissolving this conditioning that I used to have, to to be polite and to invest my time and energy to check out what he's excited about, to push myself to be excited about it as well, so that I can hold the space for him properly and to be good. But I don't want to. I don't feel like it, and it doesn't bring me joy. So that's the truth of it. And we have also been conditioned to feel guilty about it. But it's how we feel. So why do we have to apologize for feeling lack of resonance? If it makes us overwhelmed, how is it that we are the ones apologizing for stepping away? So there's a lot of distortion out there. We have been so deeply conditioned to keep apologizing for everything, for our feelings, for doing what feels right for us, for having the self-love and the determination to direct the energy, our own energy, in our own way, in the way that feels flowing and enriching and inspiring. And because if we have to go back and look at other people's ideas that we are not resonant with, we have to stop everything that we are doing mentally, spiritually, energetically, that momentum that we were creating. Gotta stop everything and go and look into somebody else's things. And it doesn't feel good at all. So I used to do that, and now I can't tolerate it anymore. I can't. I just have to tell a person, I don't feel like it. I'm not going to do it. Or just step away and do what I was doing in the first place. How can we create something? And if we're getting interrupted every five seconds by something that's not resonant with us, if that makes any sense. Like energetically, this has been coming up a lot for me, so I know this is the pattern that I'm currently fixing. So I'm curious about what kind of patterns you are dissolving, what is coming out for you. And please feel free to share in the comments and let me know what kind of past identities you are letting go, if you can relate to the boundaries being reinforced at this moment. Have you stopped apologizing for feeling the way you feel and doing what feels resonant with you and going in the direction without wanting to be paused by something that's should be remaining on the sidelines? Okay, so much love. Talk to you later. Bye.